Hi, boys and girls. It's us again.
Hello.
We're talking college football, and one of us is pretending not to live in an eternal damnation hell's fire of college football sadness.
No, I still am. I just happen to be right about Michigan. But if you're watching this YouTube right
I was
now,
saying I was pretending not to live in it.
subscribe, like, comment, share, set your alarms, enjoy the show.
How you doing, Smith?
I'm not fantastic. I had to relegate my father from my life, I think.
Why did he get relegated?
Do you want me to tell the story now or should I wait?
Can I choose neither?
No.
Okay. I guess tell it now.
I'm just saying the theme of Barstool Sports in the last few weeks has been vibes during games.
And that is definitely not a dead horse that we should continue to beat.
Definitely not. But tonight I really was excited because it's the first time I've gotten to watch an A&M game with my dad in a very long time. And at some point in the last drive, when LSU was on their own 30 and there was about a minute left, he very confidently said, well, it's okay. They're only on their 30. We saw what happened. So I feel as though I have to relegate my father.
And I know this is crazy and wild in light of what's happening around us.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you nothing your dad said in that room in New York City had anything to do with what happened in Baton Rouge?
Well, you can't prove that it didn't.
I feel like
By the way, my dad is in my living room. He's still awake and he just laughed. I mean, it's simply like, how can you prove it? You can't.
Did he suit up for LSU or A&M tonight?
No, but the vibes changed.
I know that I'm so goddamn tired of hearing that stupid ass word. Okay. Life sucks and we're all going to die anyway. All right. We already got to do a fucking show with your team losing, my team losing. Do we have to pretend that vibes are a thing?
Katie's team lost. Jack's team lost. We are down so bad.
Let's just get through this.
Okay. Let's just get through it.
Hi, welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you by the good folks at High Noon Hard Seltzer. Hey, High Noon's coming up in the world. Did you notice tonight? It's the first time I'd ever noticed it. I was watching a football game. I think I was watching Bedlam, and there were a couple of High Noon commercials on the TV.
Yeah, no, they're on the up and up.
I'm definitely not worried they're going to move on to bigger and better things from us, but okay.
Well, the good news is, Brandon, is that I believe, I could be wrong, we could fact check it. I believe we were the first ever podcast they sponsored. So they can't get rid of the OGs. Well, at Barstool. I don't know if they sponsored other things, but we've been on the High Noon train for a long time.
Yes, we have. They are delicious. They're the best drink for next week's championship week. So watch the Big 12 championship game, ACC, SEC, AAC, whatever championship game you like. Get you a pack of High Noons. Enjoy them. This is going to be a happy and a sad podcast. There's going to be moments of happiness, which I hope you all enjoy. There will be moments of sadness, which I hope you all will take with a grain of salt. I would like to start on a happy note, if you don't mind.
I don't know how you could possibly be happy, but sure.
What does that mean?
I honestly am curious to see where you're going to go with your happiness.
What makes me happy? We do a college football podcast, correct?
Yeah, we do.
That last 11 hours was the best 11 hours on a Saturday this year. I had been waiting all year for a Saturday that feels like college football, that feels like the best of college football. There were moments here and there, but today, starting with that, and I know it's a 15-point game, but Michigan-Ohio State felt like a huge deal, felt like big-time college football. It rolled right into the Iron Bowl, which rolled right into Bedlam. From 12 o'clock noon here on the East Coast, 11 Central, all the way through the time zones. When it kicked off, college football was excellent from start to finish, from rooter to tutor day. That makes me happy.
From what?
Rooter to tutor.
What does that mean?
I think you're from the South. Come on. Did your dad hear that? Come on. Rooter to tutor?
Yeah, do you know what rooter to tutor means? Have you ever heard that before? He kind of hesitated, but he said it's from beginning to end.
Is he Charlie Brown's teacher?
He's far away.
Oh, I hear.
He's far away from me.
Rooter to tutor. Come on. What is wrong with you? You're from the South.
I've never heard that before. But my dad, he's co-signing you, so congratulations.
Imagine a pig, okay? Rooter.
What's a rooter?
The tutor.
Well, I know what a tutor is. What's a rooter?
Their face.
Okay.
Front to back. Front to back.
Okay. Got it.
Why are you so dark?
Because I'm sad.
All right. Anyway, I felt like this was a tremendous day. You know what? I'm weirded out for a second. Jack, you haven't talked since we got on the Zoom. You okay?
Yeah, no, my mic on my computer isn't the best, and it like just sounds a little bit weird when we do the Zoom call. I'm not like mad or anything. It was a great day of college football. I loved it.
All right, just because I noticed Jack not only hasn't talked on the show, he didn't talk before we got on the show. He's just been sitting there, probably looking at crypto or something. I don't know what Jack does with his time. So
runs like every social account here.
Correct. Yes, and does a great job at all of it. And college football is your busiest day, so I'm sure you're very tired. And it was a very well worked day by you, Jack.
He was at the gambling house today.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he was good. Can I tell you a story? Can I tell you a story about the gambling house?
Oh no!
Can I tell you why I wasn't there? Other than
I can imagine I have a few answers.
Other than I can't stand the sight of you motherfuckers anymore.
Okay.
My phone died yesterday. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I have a new phone. I had to go get it today. Nothing like having to get a new phone at the Verizon store day after Black Friday. So that took me 2 hours. And I got done with getting my phone at about 1 o'clock. So I started getting in the car, got in my little moderately priced SUV, and I was headed down. I have Sirius, and I turned it on, and Michigan was up 14-13. It's about a 45-minute drive for me to the gambling house. So I head on Route 17, and I'm headed south. And they come out of the third quarter, and Michigan scores, and it's 21-13. I stopped. I stopped what I was doing. I pulled in the Sonic parking lot, and I thought, Brandon, if you drive down to that gambling house and walk in at 2:30 with Michigan up 8 points and they then lose, you'll never hear the end of it ever. I turned around.
One, fantastic decision by you. Couldn't have been a better decision. Two, that leads me to believe that you also believe in the word you don't want me to say.
No, I don't. I don't believe in it because I believe that you should be a man about your bets. And if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. It's your bet. But what I believe is the people that got mad at me the first time would have gotten mad at me the second time. So it doesn't mean
definitely.
I believe it.
Definitely. Yeah. Had you walked into the gambling house and Michigan lost, you probably would have gotten fired, to be completely honest with you.
That's rational.
Well, am I wrong?
I would hope so. If that motherfucker would fire me over that.
Well, no, we're all shaking our head. Katie, Jack, and I all shook our head at the exact same time. No.
He wouldn't fire you. He wouldn't fire you.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What is this? He ain't gonna fire me. I mean, it's funny for content, but good Lord, I'm Brandon fucking Walker.
I will say, I think you made the right decision because if they did blow it, which was in the cards, because I mean they were up 15 on Michigan State in the third quarter. If they lost and blew it, you would have been blamed on top of everything from the past weekend. So you know what? You pulled in that Sonic. Did you get anything or no?
Of course, I got a large chili cheese tater tots and a Route 44 sweet tea. The Sonic was going to happen regardless.
Okay.
By the way, I know we've talked about this before. Complete side note. How close is the Sonic to your house?
About 22-minute drive. It's a 22-minute drive. I know it exactly.
Between your house and the office?
No, it's between my house and the gambling house.
I feel like the next time we're together, I would love for you to bring me one of the foot-long chili cheese dogs.
You think that's going to travel well?
No.
Probably not, but it can't be that far.
I'd say it's about 30 more minutes past.
Yeah, no, never mind. I'll take a drink instead.
Anyway, we're going to get into it because I think there are 3 distinct games that stand out and need to be talked about. There's a lot of teams that need to be talked about. We need to kind of rearrange our top 4. A lot of things that happen, and then of course later, after we get through the good stuff, we'll deal with my eternal melancholy filled with sadness and yours as well. Although yours doesn't hold a candle to mine.
No, it sure doesn't.
We also need to talk about although you guys are paying $900 million for your guys to go 8-4.
Oh, listen, I'm not happy about it, but I also didn't have what happened on Thursday happen to me.
Because you don't have a rival.
Correct. I said this last week. I wish A&M and Texas still played. The rivalry and it being the only game on Thursday between you and Mince. But I also will say, and I know we'll talk about it, we'll get to it. I mean, you were incredibly confident about Mississippi State. And I'm not even talking shit. I'm just saying like that was, I mean, I was there. I witnessed it with you. We were eating Happy Meals. It was a bad night for Mississippi State fans.
Well, guess what? If they played again tomorrow, I'd be just as confident. So, I ride into battle with my boys. Sometimes you get killed. So we also got to talk about the Heisman race because I think we are officially at the end of the worst Heisman race in the history of college football. That will all be coming up. This day, though, ultimately, if you had to give it to one team, I think it belonged to Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines. The Michigan Wolverines, particularly Jim Harbaugh, even when he was 10-1 this year, people were wondering if he loses, will they still fire him? Like that was one of the dumbest questions I've ever heard. But that's what people were actually saying. And they come out at home in a make it or break it situation, and they didn't just win the game. They whipped their ass. They whipped Ohio State's ass. And Michigan, with the biggest win of the Harbaugh era, the biggest win in the last 10 years, and now on the precipice of making the college football playoff.
The two things that really stood out, and Jack and I were talking about this at the house today, that it's like, their pass rush, and obviously Aiden being one of those guys. I mean, he's the 13 sacks, or I think he finished with 14 sacks on the season today. But their pass rush and their ability to run the ball were the two different things that Ohio State could not stop the run. They couldn't do anything. The holes were massive. And then their pass rush and their ability to stop that offense was what was different than what we saw Michigan State was able to do. Now, Michigan State obviously embarrassed themselves, but the matchup itself was so much better. But Ohio State just didn't come to play today. There was nothing that they showed the entire game, even early on, that looked like they were a better football team than Michigan.
Slight disagree. I think they came to play. I think Michigan just punched them right in the fucking face.
I think again, and I know it's one of those things that people that are, and I've even still been getting chirped on Twitter tonight about it. But like the overall blanket statement, and Jack, I mean, you can help me with this. Like it's Michigan was just a better football team today.
Yeah, well, they certainly were. And the things that I thought were going to help them keep it close, because on paper I thought Ohio State was several touchdowns better than Michigan, but I thought the matchup would help Michigan keep it within 7, 10, 14. That was the pass rush and that was the running game. But instead of taking that and keeping it close, they took that and absolutely killed Ohio State with it. I mean, you call it a running game. It was a bludgeoning. Hassan Haskins, who has been their number 2 running back all year. I mean, Blake Corum before he got hurt was better than Haskins.
5
destroyed Ohio State. And
5 touchdowns.
While he's going to get the credit, 77, 75, 68, those guys up front, that center, Bastardis or something like that, they absolutely mauled Ohio State. And Ohio State is a good football team, but they are not a strong football team. They are great on the outside. They're great on the edges. They're great in the perimeter. But in the middle, where it matters, Michigan kicked their fucking ass.
I mean, it was, I know they obviously came to play. I mean, it wasn't like it was a blowout, but from what we thought Ohio State was on offense. And I mean, I took Michigan money line, which had a lot to do with, I know you don't want me to use the word, but I took it a lot to do with the vibes. I was going to take them +8 or +8.5, whatever it finished at, no matter what. However, it was very clear, and we've seen this with Ohio State, Michigan, they didn't play last year because of COVID, but in the years past, since I've been at Barstool at least, that Michigan does keep it close, and then Ohio State is able to just blow them out. What you saw with this Jim Harbaugh team early in this game was that was not going to happen. And, watching it with Big Ev, there was a very clear turn in where he realized this is not the same team as years past. And that had so much to do with what the defensive line was able to do against an Ohio State offense that we thought was the best in the country.
A lot of the defensive line, yes, but it can't be understated that Michigan got the ball first and drove it right down the field. Mm-hmm. And as good as the running backs were, as good as the offensive line were, as good as the defense was, I got to shout out a guy who I think had his best day ever. His name is Josh Gaddis. Michigan's offensive coordinator. He came out in the first drive. He had some reverses built in. He had a couple little flea flicker built in. He had like these little trick plays to get Ohio State's mind wandering. And then right when they had to cover the whole field, he just donkey punched them for 3.5 quarters after that. It was an impressive array of play calling by that guy.
And we talked about this when they hired Josh Gaddis. They were like, this is going to be the difference for Michigan. But I will say, when Cade McNamara threw that interception, when they could have gone up 14-0, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Like this is where it's going to turn. And not that I thought Michigan would necessarily lose at that point, but I was like, this is where it's going to, and it did obviously stay close, but the way that offense was able to stay on par for the rest of the game after that, I mean, that was a devastating interception at that time of the game. And they still were able to keep their composure, where I feel like in the past, those Michigan teams might not have, against an Ohio State team that a lot of people thought would be in the playoff.
I think it speaks a lot to the tough-mindedness of the team. Like something happened to this team. I thought through the first 7 games they were fine, but I thought their schedule kept them undefeated. Then they kind of dominated Michigan State for 3 quarters and then let it off the hook, and that felt like Michigan. But when they went on the road against Penn State and they hit that big pass at the end to beat Penn State on the road, something clicked, man. Something clicked in that team. Like, oh fuck, we're badass. We're like this. We're that team. And then they started beating the shit out of teams, right? They started really looking good, and they got this swagger and this physicalness about them. It was really something to see. And I also like you kind of start to see the shell come off, and Harbaugh is channeling his inner Harbaugh again. Like he's starting to walk around. I don't know if you saw the press conference afterwards, but he was asked about, certain coaches, and he just, I'm sure he was talking about Ryan Day. He said, some people were born on third base and think they hit a triple. And what a thing to say after you beat his ass.
Well, and especially because Ryan Day had said, early in 2020, and they didn't play last year, that, they were going to hang 100 on Michigan. So they've been chirping each other for a while now. I loved that. But, how many times did, Fox have to show the graphics? We've talked about it a ton. It's like Jim Harbaugh just can't get over that hump beating Ohio State. They can't beat those big teams in those big moments. And they did. And, and I know, Jack, your microphone isn't great. But I still want you to weigh in because, all season you and I have been riding this Michigan train. And it was one of those things that when they lost to Michigan State, it was like they still looked like the better team. And I know I had a Michigan State fan tonight being like, oh, they looked like a better team. Well, they clearly are. Yes, they lost to Michigan State, but they will be in Indianapolis playing Iowa next week, which I know we need to get to too. But they clearly deserve to be in the Big Ten championship.
No, Michigan came to play today. It's really impressive. It also goes to show, like, they didn't give up on Jim Harbaugh sometimes. Like, it's like, oh, there's this discussion when you talk about coaches, like, oh, what are you supposed to do with a coach that you know what they are, kind of, and should you move on? You don't know what's out there, and what's out there may not be better. Some people have the philosophy, no, you just got to cut it, what you have, and then go out and try to find something better. But sometimes it's also good to stay with the coach. And they stayed with Jim Harbaugh. I thought it would have been crazy for them to fire him. Michigan State's probably the team that exceeded expectations the most this year, but Michigan may be the second team that exceeded their expectations the most, because this team came into the season, myself included, with a lot of doubt. And that doubt included, their win total was like 7.5. They won 11-1, and their only loss was a late blown lead. So yeah, it's like sometimes you shouldn't give up on a coach. And yeah, those players and Gaddis and Harbaugh never gave up on Gaddis. They could have given up on Gaddis a bunch of times too. So everything you guys said, I echo.
Casey,
Brandon,
you love watching football.
I do love watching football.
I love watching football. I also like pretty women. I like chicken wings. I like fried pickles.
I was about to say, you know what I love? Fried pickles.
I like cold beer. I like TVs to be on every wall. You know what place has all of these things?
Let me guess.
Hooters. Yes. Hooters has it all. They got the chicken wings, the fried pickles. Deluxe tater tots are delicious at Hooters, by the way. Just one of my favorite orders. They got the best wings in the world, the best TV setups. A big game, a big day at Hooters. You cannot beat it.
You know what is also amazing, Brandon, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
all of those things you just mentioned that I love to eat, sometimes I can't go to Hooters because I have other things that I need to do, but I'm really craving those tots, those fried pickles, those wings. And did you know that if you
Are
go
you
to
saying Hooters has a to-go option?
I'm saying it, hooters.com/Barstool. And if you use the code Barstool, you get $10 off a $50 plus order. And I'll tell you, those fried pickles, you get those for free in that order, worth every single penny.
Yep. You got Hooters to go. Go to a Hooters. It's wonderful in the place. Hooters, they're great.
Save $10 with the code Barstool when you order online. Check out hooters.com/Barstool for details. We love cold beer, pretty women, nice wings, fried pickles.
The Fab Four.
The Fab Four. Brandon, where do you put Aiden Hutchinson in? I mean, I know that obviously a defensive player is not going to get the Heisman at this point, clearly, but like the way he played today and the way he was able to just absolutely blow up CJ Stroud's offense, like, I mean, he was unbelievable.
I think he's been the best defensive player in college football in 2021. I think he's been the biggest difference maker for them. Not only him, though, because a couple of the sacks he got today, or at least one for sure, late in the second quarter, he cleaned it up. But David Ojabo absolutely forced the pocket, collapsed the pocket, and then there was a sack for Hutchinson. I think, Hutchinson's got to be a first-team All-American. I know Will Anderson's Alabama's very good, but to me, Alabama's always got that guy, whereas Aiden Hutchinson has kind of changed the attitude of the Michigan defense. So he means a little bit more to that team to me than Will Anderson means to Alabama. One more little take on this game, which isn't a take on this game, it's a big picture take. Jack, I know you've kind of pointed this out a couple times, but I had a take in the offseason, which I think today was the best snapshot of it. I thought 2021 might have been the return of defense and physical football in college football. I thought it might have been the time the defense snaps back and fights back. And you're looking at the teams who have – it feels like Alabama over-evolved and Ohio State over-evolved to where they got the quarterback and the receivers, but they don't have the nucleus as much. Like they got the pretty things out wide. They want to look like LSU in 2019, but they don't have the physical mentality inside, and they're getting beat up. They're getting gashed by good offensive lines and good defensive lines. It feels like if you look at who's at the top of this playoff race right now, like Georgia, defense, physical football. Michigan, defense, physical football. Cincinnati, defense, physical football. I think Oklahoma State's jumping in there. Defense, physical football. Like, I feel like that take has aged remarkably well.
Well,
I
you
agree.
You asked Jack, so I was waiting for Jack to talk. So
No, I completely agree that, like, it's weird. I don't know who to, like, is it because if you look at the offensive lines of these teams and even their defenses, I mean, they're loaded. Like, they do have those 4 and 5 stars. Like, the nucleus is there. Maybe offensive linemen aren't as good anymore. The defensive linemen are better, or maybe it's just a season thing. Like, there's you go so far one way, then it snaps back. But also Alabama, like, their defense this year. Well, we'll get to Alabama Auburn, but again, I'm giving credit to an Alabama defense for going up against an Auburn quarterback in TJ Finley, who
is hurt.
Not even hurt, just awful.
It's awful. Right. But I will say, Brandon, before we move on, just really quickly from this game, one of the Chris Olave drop in the end zone, and I know it was snowing and it was cold, but like whatever, Ohio State's used to that too. There were just little moments of this game where you looked at Ohio State's offense and you were just like, how are these mistakes being made? Now, of course, they're going to make them, but I think we can all say we crowned them one of the best offenses in the country, if not the best. And those little tiny mistakes just kept adding up. And in the past, Michigan, at least in the recent past, Michigan might not have been able to capitalize on them. Michigan is just a better football team than Ohio State. It's just a fact.
Well, they were today.
And Ohio State will be sitting at home, and not playing in the college football playoff, and Michigan will. So
maybe. Let's do it. Yes, maybe, probably.
You think Ohio State can still make it?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's just don't jinx Michigan fans if we're talking. I mean, like, they still have to win a football game before they get in the playoff.
I've been a Michigan person all year. despite.
I know, but you just said you just said with finality that Ohio State will be home and Michigan will be in the playoff. Let's just let Michigan beat Iowa before we put them in.
You're right. I will say though, and I know we're going to talk about Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think Michigan has a better chance against Iowa than Wisconsin.
I'll say it a lot less diplomatically than you just did. Michigan got a really good break today when Minnesota beat Wisconsin. Because
I disagree. Why Wisconsin's not good? We've been saying it all year. They're not. Why are they good?
It's not that, Jack. It's not. I don't know. It's not that. To me, it's the fact that Michigan already beat Wisconsin once and beat a different version of them.
Okay.
And I feel like everything. I think Wisconsin just has a little bit more. Like their defense a little bit better than Iowa. Their offense a little bit better than Iowa. To me, the way Michigan matches up with football teams, they match up with Wisconsin terrifically, but they match up with Iowa perfectly. Like Spencer Petras going to beat this defense. I think Iowa is a much better matchup for Michigan, even though Wisconsin's not a bad matchup for them either.
Well, and that's what we saw, and then we can get off of this game, but that's what we saw with Ohio State too. It's like, yes, Michigan State beat Michigan, but they had the 130th pass defense in the country when you look at what Michigan was able to do. So it is all about the matchups. And I obviously thought Wisconsin was going to win, but the way that Iowa has been playing since they were the number 2 team in the country has not been incredibly well. They shouldn't have even won on Friday. And so I do feel like Michigan caught a break, and maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I do think we're going to see Michigan in the playoff.
2 more things from this game. It was cool to see snow. Although, as cool as it was to see snow, it got a lot cooler when the Michigan State game came on.
Can I ask you a question? And I know you're a Southern guy. You went to Mississippi State. I said this today that like I would never trade growing up in the South with college football because I do think it's the best area of the country for college football. But I'm jealous of college students that get to pregame and party for those snow games. Like I would love to do that.
How jealous are you really? Do you realize how bad it sucks to be outside in 30-degree weather?
Oh, I wouldn't want to do that now. Not at all.
The way you romanticize the Big Ten is like, it's like, I don't know why you do it.
Big Ten. It's not even just Big Ten. It's like when I watch games at Lambeau and I'm seeing it snowing. I'm like, I don't know if you've ever watched a game in the cold. It's literally the worst thing ever. I've covered them. I'm saying as a college student. I'm saying like those you watch those games today with the Penn State Michigan State game, the Ohio State Michigan game. The college kids are just shirtless and partying. They don't give a shit. They're drunk. They're partying. They're having a good time. And it's total college football weather. I would like to experience that. Not now as a college student.
I'll say it like this. I love to watch a snow game on TV.
Yeah.
Would never in a million years want to go to one.
And you know what else is terrible? When you're sitting in an SEC stadium and it's 105 degrees and you want to kill yourself.
That's much worse.
Much worse. That's what I'm saying. Like the snow, you can bundle up. I've said this a million times. You can put on as many clothes as you want. When people are passing out from heat exhaustion in the SEC in August and September, fuck that.
Why have you said that a million times?
I say that all the time. I love the cold. I hate the heat.
And last thing from this game before we move on to the Iron Bowl. I've come around on something, and now I'm just all about it.
That Michigan's better than Ohio State?
They might be. It doesn't matter. They had a better season. That's all that matters. That I'm a big fan of Gus Johnson doing these Big Ten noon games now. Like these noon times, which I originally hated, putting a big game at noon. That's stupid. These noon times, and then Gus Johnson calling Big Ten football. Like it kind of feels right. I kind of like it. I think he's good.
I agree with you if he is calling it when the team that you're either rooting for or betting on is winning. Because when he didn't read the room on that Ohio State touchdown, when it was going to, very clearly to everyone watching was going to be called back with the holding call. And he was just like, touchdown Ohio State. Like that's a Gus Johnson call, but you've got to read the room. If you're on Ohio State or you're betting on Ohio State, you hated him in that moment.
Well, I will say the Fox broadcast outside him is terrible because there was one play. There was a 4th down play late in the 4th quarter. Garrett Wilson made a catch that might not have been a catch. Like it was probably a catch, but it might have hit the ground. And Fox never knew it at all. Never showed a replay. Never thought about showing a replay. Never suggested that it might have been something wrong. They just didn't notice.
They didn't. And there were so many times too where it's like show the replay. They would go to commercial. I will say, I think Gus is incredible at basketball. There are moments in football where you're just like, all right, calm down a second. But I loved it today because I was betting on Michigan. However, I love the 12 o'clock kick. I wouldn't want A&M to play at 12, but as like a more of a neutral person watching those games, I love that game was at noon today.
All right. So here's the thing. There's always balance in the universe. Okay.
Oh boy. Where are we going?
And I have been wrong all season about Michigan. I was wrong thinking they'd lose to Washington. I was wrong thinking they'd lose to this. I was wrong thinking they'd lose to that. I was wrong about Michigan pretty much from the jump and kept being wrong.
Can I
What?
say it? Can I say it?
Yeah.
Credit to you for admitting that.
Okay, but I'm just setting something up.
No, I know, but I know you hate when I say credit to you. So
I was wrong about that all year, but balance has found itself in the universe because as wrong as I was about Michigan, how right have I been about this mediocre ass Alabama team?
incredibly right.
I saw it in August. I saw it in September. I saw it. This is not a very good Alabama team. This is maybe the 8th or 9th best team in the country. This is a team that just doesn't have whatever makes Alabama what it is. It doesn't have that edge, that toughness. It doesn't have it. And they go to the Iron Bowl. And yes, they are 10-1. I think they won that game on a rule change. I think they won that game on a rule change. And we'll get to that in a minute. But so many things could have gone one way and Auburn would have won. Auburn with a backup quarterback, a bad backup quarterback. Auburn with a first-year coach who finished 6-6. Auburn, who gave up 40 straight points to Mississippi State 2 weeks ago, shut out Alabama's incredible offense for 3 quarters. And Alabama ends up winning 24-22 in the 4 overtimes. And we will discuss the overtime in a minute. But I don't know, man. I think we're finally going to be able to take a shovel out and bury this Alabama team out of the playoff race in about 7 days.
No, I completely agree with you, and you have been on that side. And there were moments tonight for most of the game where I was like, well, I don't even want to watch the SEC championship. Let's just go ahead and give it to Georgia right now and call it a day. There's no reason for Alabama to go, to the point where I actually stuck my foot in my own mouth, which is what I do a lot, thinking about what would have happened if A&M would have shown up against Mississippi State or Ole Miss or whatever. Now, obviously, we'll get to that in a little bit with the LSU game, but Alabama couldn't do anything. And I feel like that first half of football that they played tonight was the worst half of football I've seen Nick Saban team play since like 2008, 2009. It was so bad. And the fact that, when Bo Nix got hurt for the season, we're like, well, I mean, there's no way Alabama's going to lose this game. I know we all took the points with Auburn because it was 20 by the end of the day, but I legitimately thought they were going to lose that game
you did. They should have.
I know, but I'm saying that it was so shocking to me. And TJ Finley is, like Jack said earlier, is not only not a good quarterback, he had half a leg tonight. He was limping around. He could barely move. And the fact that they just couldn't do anything, and the biggest thing for me was they came out of halftime and still couldn't do anything. I was thinking, Nick Saban would rip their ass at halftime and it would be fine. I mean, until the end of the game, they looked inept against an Auburn team that's not been very good this year, especially when Bo Nix got hurt.
Auburn's lost 2 straight. They lost to Mississippi State after giving up a 28-3 lead. They lost to South Carolina, who's not a very good team.
A&M. They got embarrassed by A&M.
And then they almost win here. But having said all that, you got to give the quarterback and the offense some credit for being down 10-3, 97 yards away with a minute and a half left, and they walk right down the field and they score. A lot of people call that his Heisman moment, which I'm thinking if that's a Heisman moment in 2021, this fucking sucks. But he did put the team on his back and kept them from getting buried today.
For the Heisman, though, just for 1 second, do you think he got himself into that mess early in the game? He looked bad. Everyone looked bad. Does that moment restore him to the Heisman, or is he just fixing his own trash that he got himself into?
I think that moment restored him to where he was going into the day. I think that moment was he loses that game, it's over. But that moment, it was a nut cutting moment. It was shit or get off the pot. It was go 97 yards, score touchdown in a minute, or all your dreams and hopes are dashed and done. Your season's over.
Well, and especially because
he delivered.
Yes, I was going to say, especially because CJ Stroud had the game that he did today. Now, he was very bad throughout the game, but I know the broadcast was talking about it a lot too, but there is a lot to be said about how, Auburn and Tank Bigsby gave them 40 extra seconds or 39 extra seconds, I guess, if you're going to snap the ball on the one. The fact that Auburn went out of bounds and allowed Bryce Young to have that much time to go 97 yards in what I think it was 1:11 to be able to do that. And he looked so calm, cool, and collected. There was nothing about him that looked like he was scrambling and not knowing what to do. He just made those passes exactly how he needed to. And then to finish in overtime the way that he did, doubled with the fact that CJ Stroud didn't have the game that he needed to today. I think Bryce Young won the Heisman tonight.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, and again, and I know we've been talking about a 1-2.
He goes out there and if he goes out there and gets shut out next week, if he embarrasses himself next week, somebody's gonna have to just win the Heisman by default. I don't know. It could be CJ Stroud, could be any. We'll figure that out later. I don't know, but if he beats Georgia or if he even puts up 28 points.
In a rivalry game, and I understand Alabama was favored by 20 points, so that it should have been a much, better game for Alabama. But in a rivalry game that I do believe is an all-time classic of an Iron Bowl because of the way that it ended, to have that moment at the end of the game after he played so shitty and then to be able to deliver that 2-point conversion, that is the moment everybody's going to look at like, that's when he won the Heisman, because there's not anybody else to take that crown away from him.
But I got to point out, this is the second straight week you've awarded the Heisman to a quarterback.
Who else is going to get it?
You awarded it to CJ Stroud. You said this is the day he won the Heisman. And I said, wait, whoa. You got to wait on Bryce Young.
No. Well, I understand that. You also said Ohio State was going to fucking kill Michigan. So, I mean, do we need to start digging up old takes? Like, I feel like.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm also just saying, like, where I looked at CJ Stroud last week and said that, you also said Ohio State was going to murder Michigan by a ton. What I'm saying is that because CJ Stroud did not play the way that he should today, and Bryce Young had that comeback in the Iron Bowl, to me, he won the Heisman today.
I know. I'm not angry about it. I'm just saying you reward the Heisman to CJ Stroud last week. Let's not reward. Let's let him earn it next week.
Okay. Well, I don't know who's going to contend against him at this point.
I think
Stroud's not playing next week. He doesn't have an opportunity to play and show.
I know. I think Bryce Young just has to be not bad. Right.
That's what I'm like. If CJ Stroud was playing next week, I might walk that back. Yes, I did. I thought, first of all, I did not think CJ Stroud was going to be, that offense was going to be as, mediocre today. I still thought Michigan would keep it within the points. But the fact is that Bryce Young is playing next week. CJ Stroud's not. And unless they decide to go out of, obviously Kenneth Walker's not winning it. So, and Matt Corral's not playing next week. So who would be in the mix next week of the Heisman Trophy, except for Bryce Young? He's the only one that's playing that's in the mix, unless they decide to give it to a defensive player.
I know, but if he gets shut out and embarrassed, I don't know where we are with the Heisman.
Right, but he's the only one that is the front runner right now that's actually playing next week.
Okay. Where are we at? The overtime rule.
Oh, gross.
I don't know why it ever changed. I don't know why it ever changed. I feel like we get to the third overtime. Why are we not seeing full drives there? I feel like, when you put a game, when you put 60 minutes of action followed by 4 consecutive offensive possessions from the 25, you follow all that up, and these teams they're just warriors locked in the battle. You're basically ending the game on a coin toss, and I just don't know why anybody thought this was fair ever. And I would say this, even if Alabama had lost that game, I guess it was well-intentioned because you don't want these guys to get hurt and playing a game like that. But the getting to the third overtime is so rare that I'm not sure why we're over rulifying this sport.
I think we've talked about this before. It is hypocritical, and I know Jack's a soccer guy. I love shootouts in soccer. I love shootouts in hockey. I'm not a soccer or a hockey person. And I know that in those sports, like the purists are like, this is not how you should decide a game. The Iron Bowl, especially the way that game was played tonight, should not have come down to that. I hate it. I hate it with my entire being. It's like you get one play, and I know that the A&M LSU game from 2018 is what changed that, but it's not the way to do it. It's not a fair way to do it. And it's exciting, sure. And I'm sure that casual fans love to watch it. It's just, it's not, it's just simply not fair.
You think Auburn fans are happy after 1 year of that coach?
They're not tonight. They're not going to be happy tonight.
No, overall.
I think you need to give him, yes, but I think we need to give him a little bit. We know how these rivalry games go. I mean, you know how these rivalry games go. If you're going to look back in, a few weeks and be like, okay, like it wasn't near as bad as I thought it was. Auburn fans tonight want to die.
Yeah, but I guess I'm not even referring to the Iron Bowl because I think that today was a good day for him. They finished like 6-6. They lost to South Carolina. They lost to Mississippi State. I just wonder how happy, because it seemed like early in the year they were going to be exceptionally happy with him, and he just kind of fell off the cliff. Today was a good punchback for him.
We also, both of us thought it was a ridiculous hire.
We did. I'm also wondering, like, I've heard his name in connection with the Washington job, and
Really?
he was asked about it after the game. He didn't really outright deny it or anything. Jack, what are you eating?
Goldfish. No free ads.
Is Goldfish the name of the brand or just the name of the?
Oh, good call. Good call. I think it's just a fish.
For Michigan, Ohio State was good. Alabama, Auburn, the ending was incredible. The last 20 minutes were spectacular theater. As far as front to back excellence, I thought Bedlam was the best game of the day. I thought Bedlam lived up to every expectation you could possibly have. It had plays that could only happen in Bedlam. Like it was these two teams. I think Oklahoma State is significantly better than Oklahoma, but Oklahoma played the best version of themselves tonight. And before I get into Oklahoma State and gush about them, I got to say, I think we really had a moment tonight where Caleb Williams proved himself as the future of that program and maybe of college football, because he did everything he could in that fourth quarter. He did everything. I know their offense wasn't good in the second half, but he did everything tonight. He made the throws, that long 60-yard run in the fourth quarter when it was like the game was over. He gave them life. I think Caleb Williams really stamped this game as, all right, I'm here. Next year, I am here.
Yeah, the series before the last, whenever he had, he got tackled, there was like fire, he fell down, there was like 5 yards for the first down, and you could tell that he kept the ball and was running for that first down, and it was just like, okay, like that, you saw that he was, I'm watching the highlights right now, you could see that he was able to do that, but the fact that he got the ball back and was able to put them into that position, absolutely. The biggest thing for me with Bedlam tonight, and I mean, what an asshole I am for thinking that under would happen, because I thought Oklahoma State's defense was going to show up like we thought. Tonight was a true Big 12 Bedlam game. I mean, it was back and forth. The offenses were crazy, and it was chaos. And what is it, rooter to tutor?
Yeah.
Rooter to tutor, exciting. And I had it on my second screen. I was watching A&M LSU, but every time I looked down at my second screen, it was like, holy shit, this game is out of control.
It was weird because the first half was so high scoring that the Oklahoma State defense actually controlled the second half for the most part. They gave up the safety, and then they gave up the punt return inside the 10. So their defense gave up 9 points that they didn't really give up. And then Oklahoma's offense got it very late. We're able to get it going. But Oklahoma State's defense played really well tonight, and they gave up 33 points. That's how crazy this Big 12 rivalry is.
And now, and I know you've been an Oklahoma State person, and I mean, granted, of course, Vegas always knows more than we do. The fact that they didn't cover the 4.5 is crazy. But now we're going to get to see a very interesting situation with there's not a rematch. Now they're going to play Baylor in the Big 12 championship, and it starts to get a little interesting with the college football playoff situation.
I think the playoff is going to be as cut and dry, simple as it could possibly be.
You think it's going to be, okay, let me guess. In the rankings.
No, not this one. Not that. I don't care what happens this week. I'm saying next Sunday when we get the final playoff. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I guess who you're going to, the order of what you're going to say?
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. Well,
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State probably jumps to number 3, but
okay.
I think Oklahoma State's going to beat Baylor. I think Georgia's going to beat Alabama. Let me say that again. I think Georgia's going to beat the absolute living shit out of Alabama. I think Michigan's going to beat Iowa. I think Cincinnati's going to beat Houston, and I think that's 4. That's a pretty neat 4 right there. The only team you're cutting out there is one-loss Notre Dame, who lost to Cincinnati. So if it happens that way, I think that's committee's best friend. That feels like that's real easy.
Well, and I mean, I know we disagree on the conference championship thing, but the fact that Notre Dame is not playing on conference championship weekend does play effect. They're just going to be, they beat Stanford tonight. Cool. Great. Stanford stinks.
No, it's a great point by you because Notre Dame's finished. Their resume's done. They can't add to it. Oklahoma State, who's trying to get in, can beat Baylor. Cincinnati, who's trying to get in, can beat Houston. Alabama, who's trying to get in, can beat Georgia. Georgia can beat Alabama.
What happens though?
Oklahoma State, like everybody can beat somebody except Notre Dame, who's done.
Right, and they beat a pathetic team today. And I know we're going to talk about all this. We need to talk about more about what happened today for sure. But I don't think Alabama can beat Georgia. And I know I've been saying that this year that I think it's going to happen. Of course, like it would be total 2021 chaos if that did happen. But I do agree with you that right now, if I had to bet on what the 4 teams are going to be, that it's going to look like that. The only thing that shakes that up, which I truly believe, is the SEC championship. There's nothing else. I mean, I guess if Houston beats Cincinnati, which I don't think is completely out of the question.
Certainly not.
Like Houston's obviously a very good team, but I feel like if we're looking at what has happened, that the biggest crinkle would be Alabama beating Georgia. And I mean, I just can't fathom that happening at this point, but I've been wrong before.
Did you say crinkle when you meant wrinkle?
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I was just looking at some potato chips and it's
all right. Fair enough.
I meant this.
Certainly Notre Dame is rooting for, if you're Cincinnati, you're rooting for Georgia to beat Alabama for sure. Because if Alabama were to beat Georgia and 2 SEC teams get in, I do think Oklahoma State with back-to-back wins over Oklahoma and Baylor very well could jump Cincinnati. So Cincinnati needs Alabama out of there. I think they'll get it. Notre Dame needs Houston to win, or they need maybe Baylor. They need something. They need some things to happen. Maybe
I know I've seen the look on Katie's face. She wants to speak.
Go.
Just speaking hypothetically, trying to avoid outside influence. Hypothetically speaking, what do you think would happen if if Iowa beats Michigan? How does it handle
absolute shithouse nightmare for the Big Ten if that happens?
Yikes.
I think that Michigan falls out, and then you've got Georgia, you've got Cincinnati, you got Oklahoma State, and you got Notre Dame.
So Big Ten will just miss it.
I think in that scenario they would absolutely miss it.
And had Ohio State not lost to Oregon in week 2, there would be that weird scenario, just like there was in 2016, where you could potentially see Ohio State get in just because they lost their last regular season game. I like that, we've seen that before. It would be crazy. I honestly, and this is my bad, I haven't even processed that could happen.
Yeah, if one loss, Michigan had beaten undefeated Ohio State today, they would both probably be in the playoff. But anyway, that didn't happen. But
I'm saying, like, if Ohio State, the Big Ten would just be completely fucked if that happens.
I don't even want to think about Iowa beating Michigan.
I can't. And again, I know we have a rooting interest at this company because, our co-host on the college football show with Dan in Wisconsin, I did not even process that this could happen. I knew there was a chance, but at one point, Kareem today, before the stream or before the 4:00 kick, was like, I'm 9.5 out of 10 confident. And I legitimately walked out being like, this is ridiculous. I mean, Wisconsin what the fuck happened?
Well, Minnesota finished ahead of Wisconsin in the standings. I mean, Minnesota finished 7-2. Wisconsin finished with 3 losses. Like, Wisconsin was an average team for half the year. Huh?
This podcast has never sucked the dick of an 8-4 team more than Wisconsin. It's insane. I just want that on the record.
I don't know that I never thought Wisconsin was that good. I did think they had turned the corner with the running back and their defense. Their defense is like, it's not Georgia good, but it's right behind them. I did think they were the best team on that side of the Big Ten. I surely did. I definitely thought
that they were playing better football, if you're talking about head-to-head type of trajectories than Iowa was. And I do think they were. I mean, you talk about Braylon Edwards and, we can make all the 17-year-old jokes and all that, but the Wisconsin team that was playing up until today versus the Iowa team, you would not have been like, I would definitely take Iowa to be in the Big Ten championship.
Just Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen, sorry.
Yeah, you accidentally said Braylon Edwards because we've been talking about Michigan.
And Mac Miller, I was listening to him earlier today too. R.I.P. He raps about Braylon Edwards.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Does he really? Good for him.
R.I.P.
Thank God we don't have to talk about Wisconsin anymore, man.
Hold on, but yeah, I kind of agree with that. I also am glad I don't have to sit through Michigan and Wisconsin. I hope they both lose. Anyway, Casey, you know I love doing unnecessary roughness, right?
I know what you're about to say. There's a but afterwards. It's like, oh, I love working with you, but
I love being here with you guys, but it's undeniable that I am the king of sling.
Oh boy.
The king of sling in his kingdom every Monday through Thursday, Monday nights, 2 hours, 5 to 7, Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7. It's a call-in show with a Barstool edge. I will allow you to call in and give me all the shit talk about college football, but Sling has got everything. They don't only have a Barstool channel 24/7. You can get our interviews. You can get the dozen. You can get Lowering the Bar. You can get all of our great shows. You can get the Brandon Walker College Football Show. But Sling also is one of the best. We're in a cutting the cord kind of world right now, right? Where you're trying to look for cheaper options to get your games and get everything. Sling has some of the best sports options out there and as cheap as it can be.
Do you think on Monday, because I know we're recording this, I mean, it's Sunday morning, late Saturday night. Do you think you'll have a lot of Michigan fans calling in to motherfuck you on your Sling?
Oh, I certainly will, and I look forward to it. Michigan fans have been some of my most persistent callers this year, and they like the fact that I've been wrong about them, but that's what it's all about, talking shit. In fact, I have one guy that I made him call in and sit there for 2 hours when they lost Michigan State. I think I'm going to allow him to sit there for 2 hours on Monday, so I'll talk to him tomorrow.
But shout out Sling for allowing you to have that platform. Like you mentioned, the Barstool Sports Channel is 24 hours of all of our content, all of our podcasts. But the biggest thing outside of that is, like you said, you can get ESPN, Fox Sports 1, the Red Zone channel, all of those things right now. And it's already cheap as shit. It's already $35 a month, starting at $35 with Sling. But if you sign up now, you get your first month for just $10. If you go to sling.com/Barstool, sign up now. It's only $10. Are you kidding me? Like, everyone's cutting the cords and talking about how they can't get live sports. You can get all the live sports channels and the Barstool Sports channel right now. Sling.com/Barstool.
One take that I got, speaking of Iowa, this isn't about Iowa, but school children in 20 years will study 2021 Nebraska football.
Oh my God.
The damnedest thing I've ever seen.
It is truly mind-boggling.
They finished 3-9. And I believe their margin of or they were 1-8 in the Big Ten. I think they were 1-8 in the Big Ten, and their margin of up or down in games was 0. Is that right? It was right at 0. It was right around.
Yeah. They beat Northwestern by 49, and then they lost the remaining 8 games or 7 games, whatever it is, in the Big Ten by a combined 49 points.
That is incredible.
Incredible. And I mean, when you watch the Twitter meltdown for certain teams, you can really see who not is just rooting for those teams, but also just the collective college football mind also being like, well, this is going to happen again. And that's what happened with Nebraska. It wasn't just Nebraska fans that were melting down. It was the entire fan base of college football being like, well, Nebraska's going to Nebraska today.
I still think they're pretty good too.
God for us.
The point differential, they're plus 2.5 on the season.
That's incredible.
2.5.
By the way, can I say this?
Time. How can it be plus 2.5?
Yeah, what?
Hold on.
You mean an average game?
Let me go run it by hand, and
I think that would work. Average game. They're
and with Scott Frost is 7.
Yeah.
I assume she meant.
Like, the point differential is an average of plus 2.5.
Yeah. But I thought me and Jack both thought you meant totals, but that's fine.
Oh,
and also we were talking big time. They also beat Fordham and Buffalo and whatever the fuck. And then lost Oklahoma. What Scott Frost has done in 1-score games, he's 7-20 at Nebraska.
Yeah.
And 1 score. I as the guy who believes in just like regressions, like no one's as bad as that. But at a certain point, you may just be that. Like, you may just have a team that is undisciplined and can't win 1-score games.
It was just so hard to watch that happen yesterday. It truly was like, and again, like I didn't have a rooting interest necessarily in that game. I bet on Nebraska, so whatever. But it was like everyone knew it was going to happen.
All right.
Brandon, I know you're upset that Iowa made the Big Ten championship, though.
I don't really care. Frankly, if they get embarrassed, like it's a win. So,
but I mean, have you had Iowa fans chirping you at all about it or no?
It's hard to tell with as many people are chirping me. All the Go Prez Go guys are chirping me about losing him as bet. So it's hard to tell.
Oh no, Brandon, I don't know if you saw this today, but he did say all was forgiven.
Who said
Well, he didn't
that?
say forgiven. He didn't use the word forgiven. He said all is right, maybe, when he called, because all your bets have gone wrong and everything you've said has gone wrong. And
Well, that's not true at all.
well, like the Mississippi State loss, and then you said Ohio State was going to kill Michigan, and then
I
Michigan.
don't know why you keep bringing that up. Like I was wrong about Ohio State beating Michigan. Yeah.
No, I'm just talking about the Dave phone call today. He didn't say forgiven. I don't want to use that word, but he did. There was a little bit of like, well, we might be back on track.
Can we just not talk about Dave anymore? Like he lost a bet. I didn't do it. He did it. So
I asked you if you were upset Iowa was in it.
yeah, I don't know. I hope they lose by 100. All right, here we go. I got to do this topic. I am once again beset by the eternal melancholy of sadness. College football just continues to teabag me in the mouth every November, just dropping its gigantic nuts in my mouth, saying you can't be happy ever. There are moments of happiness, like when we go to College Station and beat their overrated asses. There are moments of happiness when we come back from 28-3 to beat Auburn. But ultimately, the happiness is just a front. It's just like a candy-coated covering on the shit sandwich that I have to eat every fucking November. There's no way.
Because I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
You said, oh, Brandon, you were confident about the Egg Bowl. You goddamn right I was confident about the Egg Bowl. I thought Ole Miss was overrated. I thought Mississippi State was better. I still think both of those things. Like that's how irrational this stupid sport is. I still think – here's the thing. In college football, the most severe pain it can give you is losing to your rival. But losing to your rival at home hits that much deeper. Like there's a certain give and take that this sport gives you. Like when you look at your schedule, at least we got the Egg Bowl at home this year. And when you lose it, it's just a big extra slap in the face. Now I gotta be an actual human being for a second. So if you'll just sit back and let me do this. I just watched back some of the things that I said to Ben Mintz. I was a complete asshole for no reason to him. Like he didn't do anything to me. I was mad in the moment. I was like some of the things I said, and I texted him today. I texted him and said, listen, that's not who I want to be. That's not who I am. I apologize to you. I know we get put in this cement mixture called content and we have ideas of what we want to do, but man, I just said some things to him I shouldn't have said. So I apologize to him on this forum. I apologize on text, and I will apologize on Pick Central on Saturday or Monday. That being said, fuck, man. Fuck. Yes.
Say it again. Credit to you.
But Brandon, he did touch your cowbell. Like, I mean, the meanest thing you said was after the cowbell. So like not to say like you apologize after, but he did touch your cowbell.
Jack.
I don't know when cowbells got sacred. I just was so mad. I was
so mad. You, and here's the thing too. I could tell just by sitting in the same room as you, there were so many roller coasters of emotions that you were riding just in general as a fan, but also knowing that you had, like, we were on content with 4 of us on the stream. And I will say, I was shocked at Mintz not like hurling insults back. I thought there was going to be way more of a back and forth. He just soaks it all in.
He's just a nice guy. And I don't know. I'm just not when it comes down to it in that moment. Yeah.
Katie, you weren't looking at the camera. The face that Katie just made was...
I really hate Ole Miss. The thing of the 2 days of clarity has given me is, and we will rarely do this in a rivalry because Ole Miss fans will dig at me the next 365 days, and they should because they won, we lost. The thing about this one is, like, as bad as it sucks to lose to them, like, they had a good season and we had a good season. Like, they had the better season because they're going to go to the Sugar Bowl. They finished 10-2, but Like we finished 7-5. We won at Auburn, won at A&M. We were coming off a 3-7 disaster. We needed to find our quarterback. We did. I think we got the best quarterback in the conference for the next 2 years. We needed to find an identity. I think we're a tough one. Like everything we needed to find this year, we found. We just ended on a bad note. It sucks to lose to Ole Miss, but Ole Miss was good this year. And Lane Kiffin, God damn it, I hope he goes to Miami. I hope he goes somewhere else.
I also am shocked that it's their first 10-win season ever. That's crazy.
Well, that when people tell you how great they are and people tell you that they claimed 3 national titles back in the 50s, and then you find out this was their first 10-win season ever, kind of tells you they're full of shit, doesn't it?
I didn't realize truly how ridiculous that was until Mintz did his whatever preview or whatever it was. I know it's not after dinner Mintz anymore, whatever it was called. And he said it'll be our first 10-win season ever. And I didn't process that until I was like, wait a minute, you've never won 10 games before? That is insane to me.
They claimed 3 national titles. They've never won 10 games.
I mean, I will say A&M has claimed 3 national titles and they've only won 1. So
what, Jack? Don't Jack? I swear to God. Hold on, Katie. This is a kid. Whatever. You're blonde one. Hold on, Jack. You cannot come back and defend Ole Miss for claiming 3 national titles. You can't do it. I won't allow you to do it. Is that what you're about to do?
No,
Okay,
I quote tweeted the after dinner mints, whatever he calls it now, video on the Unnecessary Roughness account, not as a troll. I was in shock when I heard they'd never won 10 games in a season, because I was like, wait, I thought back to like I was like, Chad Kelly never won 10 games, Bo Wallace never won 10 games.
No, they went 9-3 in 2014 and 15 because they lost to Memphis one of those years, which I don't know how you could ever lose to Memphis.
Yeah, well, the refs.
Yeah. Damn, I had another good point there, and I just lost it talking about that fucking game.
I would say, but Mississippi State played as a bystander, played really well in that game. A few drops go different ways. I think they stayed in it much longer.
Have you ever seen 3 touchdown drops in a row?
No,
and a missed field goal.
And all the missed field goals, it was just like.
Well, that series was what changed it. 3 missed touchdowns on 3 consecutive downs, and then a missed field goal on 4th down. You don't come back from that. You just don't.
No, you don't. And we certainly.
Well, listen, I'm with you. I mean, Katie very hatefully tweeted it last night when North Carolina lost, and the podcast was 0-2, and she was like, Casey Smith, you're next. And I was like, why are you putting your witchcraft on me? I get it.
I gotta tell. Hold on, Katie. I gotta tell you right now, from bottom of my heart, from Jack's heart, from Katie's heart, we are all glad that you lost. We were rooting for you to lose. We needed to go 0-4 this rivalry weekend.
That's hateful.
You are not speaking on behalf of all of us.
Yes,
no.
I am. Yes, I am. If I'm going to be eternally sad, she needed to be sad too, Katie.
Well, I mean, Brandon did text in the group text as soon as it was very clear that A&M was actually not going to pull that game out. What did you say? Life's hard and then we die.
Life sucks and then you die.
Can I make some? And I'm going to admit something right now, Brandon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Not that I would ever laugh at your pain for losing to Ole Miss, because I would never do such a thing, because I understand rivalry games. I did have a Michigan shirt on before A&M lost that game, and I was going to just sit here and just have a Michigan shirt on and, be like, hey, I've been right. When A&M lost that game, I could not have changed my shirt fast enough. I was like, I have no leg to stand on here. My team stinks, just like his team stinks, just like North Carolina stinks. We know UConn stinks. And I acquiesced. I just put a hoodie on and said, I can, stand by the take that I've had all year, or my team just let me down again.
It sucks, man.
It sucks. It is so upsetting to know that you're the better team and to know that you have those opportunities. And it's not even my rival. LSU is not our rival. Texas is our rival. And to watch that happen is devastating.
At some point, Jimbo went 10-1 last year, finished number 5, had a great year. Boy, 8-4 though, man. And with a team that is good enough to beat Alabama, which maybe that doesn't really matter because Alabama's not that good. Maybe I'm giving I don't know. 8-4, it kind of stinks.
I text us in the group, and again, TexAgs, and all college football forums, undefeated at being ridiculous. but I texted you guys this and said, for fuck's sake, there are actual A&M fans out there that believe he threw this game because he's going to LSU. That's where we're at in College Station.
All right. So I think a coach that lost tonight is going to LSU. I don't think it's Jimbo Fisher.
Lincoln Riley.
Did you notice?
No.
Go ahead.
While we were recording, he vehemently said, Sooners coach, this is from Jason Kersey, who does a great job covering Oklahoma's football. Sooners coach, Lincoln Riley, let me stop you right there. I'm not going to be the next coach at LSU. Next question. This was as we were recording, so.
Okay, fair enough. Now, did you notice, though, that Oklahoma State, when Lincoln called a timeout in the first half, they played Colin Baton Rouge. I thought that was fantastic.
Love a control like that.
I got to give some shout outs to some teams and some people. I'm just going to go down the list here to give some more shout outs as we, of course, I'm rotting in eternal sadness again.
Rotting is such a harsh word.
It really is. Before just a couple observations, we can talk about it. So, first year since 2013 that neither Oklahoma, Clemson, or Ohio State will win a conference title, and I feel like we're a week away from adding Alabama. What kind of odds could I have given you at the beginning of the year saying, all right, neither Oklahoma, Clemson, Alabama, or Ohio State will win their conference? You would have choked me out and not let me be on this podcast.
Yeah, no, it would have been insane. Like, we look back at the teams that we said were going to underachieve or overachieve, or who our top 4 teams were. I mean, people thought it was crazy. I said Ohio State wasn't going to make the playoff, and that was one of those teams. Not only are they not going to win a conference championship, we are literally, 6 days away at this point from none of those teams being in the college football playoff. That is crazy. And that's where the parity, everyone's like, oh, college football is the same year in, year out. And yes, Alabama and Clemson had the whole, the back and forth for a while. We're looking at all 4 of those teams not even making the playoff this year.
I think this is a great thing. I think, and Jack defended it very well when I think it was Kevin said, this is a great sport. It's Clemson, Alabama every year. Well, it's Clemson, Alabama every year because they've reached a level that they were elite, and elite teams happen. But I think it is good that if we get some new blood in the playoff this year, I think it is good that we get other teams, because I do think it'll spur change going forward. I think we're eventually headed to 12, which will be chaotic and fun and wonderful. I just wonder out loud. Now, it just came to my mind just now. Bama's not going to make a 14 playoff if they lose. Ohio State's not going to make a 14 playoff. Oklahoma's not going to make a 14 playoff. But if it were 12, all 3 of those teams would still be in the mix. So I wonder if the powers that be are like, oh, now wait a minute. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I don't know who I saw. I think it was actually probably just like a random person. It wasn't like a blue checkmark person it just came across my timeline that said that. Like, if you don't think Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma are pushing for a 12-team playoff right now, you're insane. And I just kind of was like, whatever. But now that you've said it, it's absolutely true. The powers that be.
all right. So I got another appreciation post here. I'm just gonna say a series of numbers, and I want you to guess what it is. Okay? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 7, 13, 0, 0, 10, 13, 7, 6, 17, 7, 0.
The amount of points.
Amount of points Georgia's allowed.
That is the amount of points in this year of parity, in this year of teams like Ohio State looking elite for a moment, teams like Alabama looking elite for a moment. That is the amount of points Georgia has given up this year. 3 points, 7 points, 13. They've held teams to a touchdown or less 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 12 games, 7 points or less. And people say, I started to see this. Oh, yeah, but their schedule hasn't been that great. No, they have just absolutely bludgeoned everybody to death. Like, you look at Alabama, who's the number 2 team in the country. They have 4 common opponents. One's Tennessee. They both killed them. Fine. The other 3 are there's Arkansas. Alabama beat them by 6. Georgia won 37-0. There's Auburn. Alabama beat them in 4 overtimes. Georgia won at their place 34-10. And then there's Florida. Alabama beat them by 2 on a lucky 2-point conversion they didn't get. Georgia beat them 41-7, something like that, 40-7. This team with everything we've talked about, has been great and elite from start to finish. And they are the surest thing in 2021. And I think they're the eventual national champion.
So you just said Alabama, Alabama is the number 2 team in the country. Do you think that Alabama will move up to number 2 because Ohio State lost?
I only said that because they've been number 2. I forgot that.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, but I will agree with
Michigan
you.
will be number 2 this week.
I agree with you. I think that I mean we're looking at potentially, again, I don't think Alabama is going to beat Georgia, but an Alabama Michigan semifinal would be great. But Georgia is so far head and shoulders above everything else we've seen. Now, I do think a Georgia Michigan national title at this point is, I think, what everybody's guessing is going to happen. Everybody's hoping is going to happen. Again, we got to see what happens in Indy next week. Georgia's just never wavered. They've never looked like they can be beaten.
I think Michigan, Oklahoma State, just coming to my mind right now, is a fascinating semifinal. If that happens, there's still a lot of things that could to make that not happen. Personally, I think Georgia couldn't have been happier with what happened today. Because I think with the way Georgia beats teams and the way they match up with teams, I think Michigan is a hell of a lot better matchup for them than Ohio State. Like, I don't know if they would have wanted to try somebody that was averaging 45, 50 points a game, but Michigan, I think athletically they can match up across the board. And with what Michigan does well, I think that's playing right into Georgia's hands. I might be reading too much into it, and maybe it's me disrespecting Michigan again, but I think Ohio State was a worse matchup for Georgia than Michigan will be.
I do think that the Michigan-Georgia matchup will be very interesting it'll be a defensive battle because, I mean, we saw what Michigan was able to do against Ohio State's offense today. And it's not like Georgia's offense is the crown jewel of that team. It's clearly their defense. So, I mean, I do think that the matchup is not great, but I think that what we saw Michigan do to Ohio State today shows that they will be able to go into a defensive battle with Georgia.
I think Oklahoma State could beat Michigan. Do you think that?
No, just because I think that again, I know I've been an Oklahoma person for years. Oklahoma State's defense coming into this game, and that was most of the reason I took the under, which clearly was a buffoonish thing, was I thought Oklahoma State's defense would be able to stifle Oklahoma's offense. And what Michigan was able to do against Ohio State today, in turn with their defense being able to do it against their offense, maybe it's a Big 12 thing. Maybe I'm just thinking like the Big 12, they can't play defense. But Oklahoma State's defense today was what really I thought would stand out, and it just didn't.
Well, let me ask you a second question. Do you think Cincinnati can beat Oklahoma State or Michigan?
So Jack and I talked about this today. I group of 5 bias, I guess, or I guess Power 5. I do not believe – I don't know about Oklahoma State as much. I don't think that after watching what Michigan did to Ohio State today that Cincinnati could beat them.
Cincinnati's interesting in that they went through a 3-week period that colored everybody's perception of them, and I feel like that perception is not wearing off, even though it should. Not you, just everybody else. I feel like they went through that stretch where people thought they should beat Tulane by more. They beat them by 19. They thought they should beat South Florida by more. They beat them by 17. They thought they should beat Tulsa by more, which they should have. But they beat the shit out of SMU last week. And then they went on the road and just handled business yesterday. Like they're rolling pretty good again, and depending on what they do to Houston, if they were to beat Houston by 3 touchdowns, like I don't know, man. I think I think they could win a game if their matchup was right in the college football playoff. Now, if they're number 4 and they play Georgia, no, but could they beat Oklahoma State? Could
I say this word wrong every time? Asterisk. Yes. Depending on what happens against Houston, because I do agree with you. If they go out and they just absolutely pummel Houston, maybe a little bit, it's really tough for me to see them being a 3 spot. I do think that, the committee is going to have an interesting scenario if Oklahoma State beats Baylor, assuming Michigan beats Iowa, but I don't see Cincinnati being the third team in the country. I see them being the 4th. And a Cincinnati-Georgia matchup feels like a nightmare for Cincinnati to me.
It would be weird considering, Cincinnati's big break last year was, or they played in the bowl game last year. And I think Georgia won, 24-22. Nobody played, but it would be weird to run that back. I want to give a couple more shout outs. with this Heisman argument that we had, Bryce Young this, CJ Stroud this, neither one of them were very good today. I mean, shout out to guys like Kenny Pickett and Sam Hartman. Kenny Pickett's been excellent all year. I think Kenny Pickett is deserving of a trip to ACC title game is Wake Forest against Pitt. And Wake Forest, to their credit, when they got beat by the second time by Clemson, they could have gone in the tank. They didn't. They beat the shit out of Boston College. Like Wake Forest, Sam Hartman's been great all year. Kenny Pickett's been great all year. If you're looking for strong quarterback play this year, those are the two guys that I would look to. Shout out to them. Notre Dame. I pointed out the committee's Notre Dame problem a couple of weeks ago. Now, if the seeds hold the way I think it will, they'll end up number 5. They could get in if somebody falters that I don't anticipate faltering. But if they get in, like, they're playing really well right now. They've been playing some bad teams, but they're playing a whole hell of a lot better than they were playing. Like, their offense figured it out. They can block now. They got a good running game. They're not a bad football team, and we have kind of treated them all year, not me and you specifically, but we, the college football populace, treated them like an afterthought, and they're right fucking there.
They are. And I mean, you've been saying that the committee is going to have that problem. Barring chaos, I don't see them getting in. But I mean, it's insane to me. And I feel like this happens with Notre Dame a lot, whether you're on them or you're not. It's like everyone jumps on one side of it. Like, they're either going to be in it or they're not. And even if they are in it, are they going to win? And I know that I'm in the minority, I think, with this. I just want them to join a conference. I want them to be in a conference because I feel like every year at the end of the season, we're sitting here talking about a Notre Dame problem. And if they were part of the ACC or part of the Big Ten, then we wouldn't have to have this conversation.
Well, I mean, that's a real thing. Like, if they were in the ACC right now and they were getting ready to play Pitt next week.
Right.
I mean,
I know that independent is great for them, but at the same time, it's like, well, we got to see last year in a, shit year for the entire world, but it was fun to see them in a conference. It was great because we were like, who is going to win the ACC? If Notre Dame would just join a conference, we wouldn't have this Notre Dame problem every single year.
Yeah, but that NBC money though.
Right. Well, that's the problem. NBC needs to stop being such selfish pricks. Brandon, we're getting to the point of the season where we all have a lot of anger. We all have a lot of angst. We're all realizing that our team isn't as good as we might have thought. There's only one fan base that's really happy at the end of the year, which means We're all stressed out. I can tell you right now, I was hiding in my hoodie, my KFC Radio Sherpa. By the way, Barstool Sports store right now, 20% off through Monday. You got to get your angst out. And you know what I love to use? I love to box.
Yep.
But you know what I like to use?
Your light boxer.
I love the light boxer. We've got one at the office too. It is absolutely amazing because, I mean, you've punched it. I've punched it. It's basically Dance Dance Revolution for boxing. It gives you the gloves. You have your own trainer. You can put whatever music you want. I personally love Lil Wayne, but they'll tell you exactly what to do. And the lights light up. So you actually have a challenge and you're working your ass off.
Not only do we have one at home, or at the office, Casey Smith, some of us have one at home.
I know that you got one delivered, and I was going to ask you how it's going because I know you have a lot of angst, Brandon Walker.
The box is open. Sorry, I pooted. The box is open, and I can't wait to put that. Tomorrow, I'm actually putting it together. But the one at the office is incredible. It's one of those workouts, and the best way to describe it is you don't know how hard you're working out until it's over. Because it's fun, like it lights up and you're working, your mind's working, you're listening to music and you're just going, right? You're just going. And then after like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, a minute, however you said it, you sit back and like, wow, I really got some work in right there. And it doesn't feel like work.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, as somebody who loves to box, like I was very pleasantly surprised with the light boxer because I was like, oh, well, I mean, it's not a punching bag. It's not going to feel the same. Boy, was I wrong. It works you out so hard. And like I said, we're an angsty podcast. We have a lot of anger on this podcast. It's a great way to do it. And Brandon, first of all, I need a video of you working out tomorrow to it because I feel like right now you're in that space. But the promo code is also Walker. And I don't think that that's just by accident. I think that they know that you love your Lightboxer. Lightboxer.com/Walker. You get $200 off your purchase. Use the code Walker at checkout. You get $200 off your purchase. First of all, it's the Christmas season. This is a great gift for everybody that's in the family. Also, you know what they say, Brandon? You don't get in shape for the summer in the summer. You get in shape for the summer in the winter. So get your light box right now. Take out your angst like we do. And get in shape for the summer.
Shout out to Michigan State. They could have gone in the tank. They got embarrassed last week. They got handled last week. They got thrown to the wolves last week. And they could have returned home in the snow. They could have rolled over, and they beat Penn State in a very good game, 30-27, in the snow. And Penn State should never be allowed to wear all white in the snow. If they're going to be in the snow, you make them bring their road blues or their home blues. Anyway, Michigan State bounces back, beats Penn State, and finishes 10-2. Like 10-2 with a win over Michigan, who's going to be in the playoff. That's a hell of a season.
Two things. One, half their team was sick today too, which is not great. Two, did you see the slow motion walk-in with Mel Tucker and those players that looked like the GQ ad?
No, I didn't.
Katie, was that you who tweeted that, or was that Jack?
If it was from the CFB one, that was me. Brandon,
it was a stunning display from Mel Tucker and that team. They were swagged out. It was, you knew Michigan State was winning that game from that clip alone.
Can I just real quick before I didn't see it, so I can't really speak to that. Jack, I want to shout you out. I want to thank you for doing such a great job. I think it was like Wednesday night, the night before the Egg Bowl. You were tweeting out some facts, brother. You were tweeting out a storm, man. You were in your hold on, Casey. You were in your bag, man. You were tweeting, man.
Jack.
Good job.
Jack. This is a travesty.
What?
You are Judas. You are Brutus. You are every single traitor name I can think of.
I don't even know how he says I signed him in one time, but I don't even remember it. But the thing is, if you guys want the passwords, they're all yours. Like I don't want hold them hostage.
Jack, I don't want the password because I want to be able to say I don't have the password. Brandon has been lying. He's been lying to the people. And now, Brandon, what you've done is when A&M gets a little nice tweet, which is not whatever, people are like, oh, see, we knew they had the password.
False. You're fake news. Cap. No, that's cap. That's cap, bro. That's cap.
That's cap. Stop the cap.
That's cap. You're
Jack,
okay.
You know he has the password. And
that's cap. That's cap. Let me.
Was it the Thanos arms? I don't know anything.
I don't have the password. One time, I had Jack enter the password on the phone, and I don't know what the password is now. But
liar, you have access to the account, which means you have the password. And Jack even tweeted it when Brandon understands the power of unnecessary roughness. I saw it. See, you have now dragged me down into your schemes. You've dragged me into your trickery.
I don't know I don't know if you're drunk. I don't know if you're high. I don't know what's happening right now. I don't know if it's a cry for help. I'm thanking Jack for his good tweets on Wednesday night. That's what I'm doing. Jack did a good job. Jack works for us. Are you saying he didn't do a good job?
He did a great job, but he also knows that you have access to it and you were tweeting those things, Jack.
You trifling ass bitch.
I said this on Tuesday. I don't know why our header hasn't been changed. I don't know why there is not a red line between Brandon and
that's a good
I
point.
don't have access.
Hold on. You know what's sad though? So yesterday, my phone just started spinning, and it just started rebooting, and I never got past the Apple. My phone died. Is what I'm trying to tell you. My phone crapped out, and today I had to go get an iPhone 13, and now you can't see it, but I don't have access anymore because it's not signed in on this phone. So I only have. And I will be texting Jack tomorrow for the password because I am addicted to that shit.
Brandon, A, that's called karma, and B, Jack McGuire, you listen to me loud and clear. If you give him the password, which is fine, he's allowed to have it. It is his account. He's not listening to me. He's talking to somebody else. Katie, you can listen to me. If he has access to it now, after he didn't know he had access and now he does have access, if those headers aren't changed, I will riot.
I am doing it right now.
Wait, you're changing the password?
No, I'm changing the header. I'm drawing a line through it.
No, Jack, he's Jack. When you were away for a second, he said he doesn't have access anymore and then he's going to ask you for the password. And I said, that's fine. You can give him the password because it is his podcast.
Yeah.
But I will riot if the headers aren't changed.
I think that's a fair change.
Thank you.
Like a fair.
I I don't have the password.
I don't care
want it.
about the header anymore. I just want the tweets. Give me the tweets.
Yeah, no, you guys have always had access. Like, all you've had to do is just ask me to sign you guys in, and you're in.
I don't want them because I like to be able to be like this. Like I just talk. Jack and Katie are the social media gurus.
Yeah.
Anything is unbiased.
I had
Brandon,
to-
live.
Speaking of my phone, I had to text Katie and ask her for my Instagram password today.
That makes sense. That totally checks out.
And I just pulled up in our text messages and resent it to him.
I didn't know how to do that. Okay. Shout out to tell you who might be underrated. Clemson. Clemson pulled it out. Clemson finished 9-3. Clemson finished 9-3 with a loss to Georgia, a road loss to NC State by a point or an overtime, and a road loss to Pitt. Like, as much as we buried them, and it was fun to have a season without Clemson at the top, it ain't gonna last long. I think they'll be right back next year. Clemson finished 9-3.
Yeah, they sneaky good season. I think that it goes back to the same. Ohio State's different because they win at this game thinking they could still be in the playoff. They have such high expectations because of where they've been in recent past that it is a bad season for them. Like Clemson fans cannot be happy with what they've seen. Now we buried them early for sure, but if you don't make the playoff as Clemson, you don't make the playoff as Ohio State in this era, it is a bad season for you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's happening?
Nothing.
Jack, did you give him the password?
No, he didn't get focus, woman. Focus.
What? No, I don't want.
I'm focusing. You're the one that can't fucking focus. I see it. You don't have a poker face at all.
No.
Jack has a
Look
poker
who it
face.
is. It's large. Say hi to large.
Hey, Large. Hope the fights were great, buddy.
You don't have a poker face, Thomas.
Yeah, I know. I saw it.
Thomas.
That's not my name.
Thomas.
I'll call you by your middle name. Would that be okay?
Your middle name is Brandon.
Well, I'll call you by your middle name though.
What is it?
Nicole.
Lee.
That's a sucky middle name for me because it's just a good middle name. It's a fine middle name. There's nothing wrong with it.
Leigh, as Southern as you can get.
Speaking of Southern, did you see Ed Orgeron's packing tonight and he's going to Destin?
Just
Ed Orgeron won his last game. They're going to a bowl, and he's like, "All right, that's fine. I'm going to Destin." He is gone. He says he's packing tonight, and him and his girlfriend are driving to Destin tonight. I love the fact in the South, no matter, I'm talking about Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, no matter how much money you got, no matter how rich you are, how great it is, when it comes to vacation time, you're going to Destin. Period.
why?
I don't know, but we fucking love Destin in the South. It is so Destin's. If you're listening to me in Colorado or California or Washington, Destin has white sand beaches. They're beautiful. Has crystal clear water. It's beautiful. But it's like a little island. It's about 2 miles long in the panhandle of Florida. If I got $1 million, like Dave Portnoy gets millions of dollars, buys a place in Miami. Ed Orgeron could go to Miami. He could go to Key West, and his ass is going to Destin to eat at Waffle House.
Now, I will say, I can think like even in Texas growing up, we would go to like camp or like a fun trip would be Destin. So even all the way to Texas, but I feel like that's not where like millionaires go. First of all, I wouldn't go to Florida at this point if you're not going to go to Miami. But even the fact that he's just admitting that, like, nope, we're just driving there. You don't have a plane, Ed? You can't have a plane take you there?
I think millionaires go now. I think they go further east. The richer you get, the further east you get. You go to like Watercolor or Seaside. Seaside's where they did the Truman Show.
The Truman Show fucks me up still.
I love the Truman. It's one of my top 6 favorite.
Sometimes I think I live in the Truman Show.
It doesn't feel all that dissimilar sometimes. And shout out to Kentucky, who not only finished 9-3, they finished with a gut punch to their rival. They went into Louisville and beat the living holy shit out of Louisville. Kentucky, who I think, after starting 6-0, they lost to Georgia, and the Mississippi State beat them, and they could have let the cheese slide off the cracker, but they didn't. They finished 9-3, and Mark Stoops still doing a hell of a job there at Kentucky. Shout out to Iowa for winning the Big Ten West. I think we had all assumed that it was going to be Wisconsin. Who else am I shouting out? There's got to be some Pac-12 teams I'm shouting out. The conference title games. The Big Five conference title games. ACC, you've got Pitt and Wake Forest. Big Ten, you've got Iowa and Michigan. Big 12, Oklahoma State and Baylor. SEC, the only one that's chalky, Georgia and Alabama. And then Pac-12, Oregon, Utah run it back next week for the Pac-12 championship. So those are your 5 major championship games. And then you've got Cincy and Houston next week as well. And on and on and on down the line. Anything else?
We need to let Katie Stats have a second to talk about North Carolina on Friday night.
You just want her to be sad? You want her to be as sad as me and
Well,
you?
we gave our soliloquies to our teams being shit. Let her do it.
And the famous line of Casey, like, what you can't hurt, what's dead. Like, yes, it's a rival. It sucks, especially because like Mac places such a big emphasis on recruiting and winning on and off the field against other schools in North Carolina. So I had hope. But at the same time, I was like, just as the moment I was starting to be like, you know what, we could do this, we can pull this off. I actually started shit talking Quiggs on Twitter, so I blame myself. It just turned to shit, and I was like, well, all right, great. Like I was just lying in bed, and I literally fell asleep on the couch. I just turned off the TV and rolled over, and I was like,
it's a sad state of affairs for all of us, to be honest.
This is where we go back to hold one more second. This will prove you right, Brandon. How you said like who's the saddest fans in the ACC? I think it's UNC. We had all the hype. We had Mac Brown. We were coming to the season. Like, yes, 10 was overhyped, but then everything just came back. Like, we're just not going to be a football school. We're just not going to be a national, at least nationally recognized name. Obviously, probably not nationally contending, but
at least you have basketball.
Yeah, yes, but at the same time, we're still rebuilding for there. So
no, for sure. But at least you have something. Imagine being me and Brandon.
Don't you have meat judging? Oh no,
that's
has everybody who's won a national title in the last calendar year, raise your hand. Just me and Jack. Wait, what'd you win?
Oh no, we won equestrian, I think.
Tennis.
Okay, all right. Everybody who's won a major sport national title in the last year, raise your hand.
I want field hockey back to back.
My hands went down real quick. I actually don't know if we won equestrian or track and field, but we did every time I was in college. So I just figured.
I know you guys are good at track and field. You're one of those.
Very good.
You and Arkansas are really good at track and field. All right. So I'm going to have to think of different ways to say this one because I think we're all going to give 4 versions of the same answer. And it's a team that's won the weekend like 2 or 3 weekends in a row, I think. But who won the weekend? We will start with our good pal in the middle, the beautiful, lovely, and talented Casey Smith.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jack.
I thought about it. I just said that joke's
I know. I saw the hesitation. I mean, it's obviously Michigan, and we all are going to say the same thing. I am going to take the high road here and not say me and Jack because I really wanted to. I really did want to sit here and be like, listen, like all the arguments, they've come to fruition and everybody wants to pick them apart. Look who's in Indy, look who's not. But I mean, Jim Harbaugh and Michigan today are definitely the winners. They not only beat Ohio State, Brandon, your tweet was perfect. They treated them like kids, took their lunch money, everything. They absolutely bullied Ohio State. And Michigan made it very known that even though they did lose to Michigan State, they are a contender. They finally beat Ohio State. They finally got over that hump. And I don't think that many people actually believe that was going to happen going into it, except for me and Jack. So Jack, high five. Michigan won the weekend.
Before Jack or Katie go, it just occurs to me right now that I didn't say it earlier, but I almost wonder if losing that game in the style they lost to Michigan State helped Michigan down the stretch because they were significantly better than Michigan State for the first 2.5 to 3 quarters, and then they blew it. They lost a 16-point lead, and they get there today, and they have that experience. That has happened to them before, and they didn't let up a second today. Every time Ohio State was scoring in the second half to make it all right. If they get a stop here, it's a game. Michigan didn't let that happen. They didn't let it spin out of control. They just kept doing the things that got them the lead in the first place. I just wonder if they go to Michigan State and win that game with ease, are they as prepared as they were today? Probably. I don't know, but it's an interesting thought.
It is, and it's also just, when the your back's against the wall. Had they beat Michigan State and both of those teams were undefeated, there's still a chance that you could see a different outcome with the playoff. But I do think, and that's, I saw some loser Michigan State fans today being like, oh, well, we still beat them. Like, who fucking cares? You're not in Indy. That's why and Jack and I have talked about this both on and off camera. It's like when Michigan beat Michigan, or when Michigan State beat Michigan, yes, they won. And you have to play the games. I get that. Michigan was very clearly the better team. They outgained them by a ton. There are a lot of things that happened in the fourth quarter that shouldn't. When you saw the way Michigan State matched up against Ohio State, and the different types of offenses and defenses, you had to know Michigan was going to play better. And not only did they play better, I mean, they annihilated Ohio State. Michigan has been the best team in that division all year. And yes, they lost, fine. Ohio State also lost to Oregon. And Oregon is, I mean, like that's what was shocking to me about Ohio State fans today is they're like, well, I mean, it's like, well, you also lost to Oregon in week 2. Let's not sit here and talk about Michigan losing to Michigan State. So Michigan came to fruition. Jim Harbaugh, he got the win. He got the fucking walk-off in the press conference. Go Blue.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't know if they were the best team in the division all year, but they were the best team in the division when it mattered, and that is all that matters.
Right. I mean, they're going to Indy. That's I hate the whole like, well, we beat them, like, who cares? Like A&M beat Alabama. You don't see me being like, well, I mean, we beat Alabama. We're the SEC West. Like, no, like, fuck that. It's who goes to the championship.
Jack, who won the weekend?
2 people. One, I'll just echo the Michigan love with Jim Harbaugh. The Jim Harbaugh, specifically his moment of the weekend, was the third base quote. That's always a great quote.
Yeah.
I was with some people who had never heard it before, but I've heard that a lot of times. And when it's used correctly, it's like, it's a real knife right in the heart. And he used it at the perfect time. And because, I mean, nothing against Ryan Day, but he was born in this situation on third base with like what he was given. And then second, a little bit similar to Jim Harbaugh, the entire game, the Auburn kicker was doing the Eagle thing. And then after Alabama won, the entire team ran down to one where they scored the touchdown or 2-point conversion. And they did the Eagle thing. That was like just really funny. And, Alabama did not play up to expectation, but at the end of the day, you beat your rival. You should be happy about it. You should be you should be like, bye-bye to them. And that was that was cool. So those are my 2 winners.
Katie, who won the weekend?
I agree with everything that's been said, and just for shits and giggles, I'll throw in Coach O. He went out with a bang. He has about to go retire with a bunch of money. About to bring his girlfriend into buttfuck Texas and just ride out and eat some hamburgers.
He's going to Destin. That's Florida.
Same thing.
It's buttfuck Florida.
Yeah, right.
Mean, rubbing it in.
Who won the weekend? Michigan has certainly won, but right behind them, Mike Gundy was 2-14 in best. Mike Gundy has had to watch Oklahoma win the conference 6 years in a row. Mike Gundy has gotten to this point before where he just needed to beat Iowa State in 2011. He's going to play for a national title. And he got down 33-24 tonight. And Mike Gundy was as cool as a cucumber on the sidelines. Like, there's no panic. He was just kind of there. He was just walking up and down sidelines. Even when they won, he just had this look like, okay, that's about what I expected. Mike Gundy is on the precipice, I believe, of getting into the playoff. If he beats Baylor, I think Oklahoma State is going to be in the playoff. And Oklahoma owns that state, has owned that state for a long time, and they own the headlines this year when they announced they were going to go to the SEC. Well, what bigger fuck you to the bigger program in your state when they are leaving to beat them, win the conference, and then go to the playoff? And God knows, what if Oklahoma State goes and wins a game, something Oklahoma can't do? I think Mike Gundy won this weekend. Jim Harbaugh is one. I think Mike Gundy's right there with him.
I love that. And to double down on that as we get to who lost the weekend, obviously easy answer is Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Texas. Because, and I know Texas won, whatever, but you just said it. These two teams all season, we've been talking about how it's the last time that they're going to be in the Big 12. Potentially they're going to go to the SEC next year. Texas isn't making a bowl game. Oklahoma just lost to Oklahoma State in Bedlam, will not be in the Big 12 championship. And those two teams are now potentially being sent into the best conference in football on a losing note. I mean, Texas more so, but it's like all season we've been talking about, oh, what's Oklahoma? What's Texas going to be able to do in the SEC? Texas stinks. I had Texas fans chirping me tonight about A&M losing to LSU. I was like, good luck in bowl season. What are you fucking talking about? Texas and Oklahoma had so much hype when that announcement was made, and they've lost the season in their standards, and now they're going to head into the Southeastern Conference. They lost it. It's done.
Jack, who lost the weekend?
Also me, because A&M lost, but whatever.
You don't get to own that one.
No, I don't. I believed in my shower wine vibes.
Us.
Who lost the weekend? Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It feels like there's a lot of losers, but I'll just say, like, Ohio State's defense are just like will to win as a defense, like really disgusting. I mean, the offense didn't play spectacular, but they played good enough to win. And they kept them in the game after going, like, they went down, scored, and made it 35-27. And the defense just allowed, or maybe it was a different score, but they got within one score and the defense just folded again. And they couldn't get a stop in the second half at any point. Losers of the weekends. And that was the same thing that happened with the Oregon game. So, yeah, they just were just like out-toughed, out-willed. Like, it was just, yeah, so they're my losers.
All right. Katie stats.
Besides UNC, it's going to probably be Ohio State just because they pissed their playoff hopes goodbye, or like 99.999% chance they did. Oklahoma kind of did, but I feel like had a much longer path to go to compared to Ohio State did.
Give me, for losing the weekend, give me more specific. Give me Ryan Day. I mean, Jim Harbaugh has been waiting for this moment. He's been waiting for this moment to finally beat him. When he got to that press conference, he said some people were born on third and thought they hit a triple. And that's absolutely right. That is right. Like, Ryan Day inherited a ready-made program and has kept the car in the middle of the road. But today, when he showed up to Ann Arbor, and he showed up, and about 5 minutes in that game, you could tell this Michigan team weren't fucking around. They weren't fucking around at all. Like, they were ready to play. They were prepared. They were executing. It was snowing, and Ohio State just never made any adjustment. They played the same 5 minutes into the game as they played 5 minutes to go in the game. They just went out there, did their little passes. They never tried to do anything different. They just got absolutely thumped from start to finish, and Ryan Day was powerless to stop it, even though he has, and I feel safe to assume this, the more talented roster. Why? Because he's got the more talented roster every single game he ever plays. And when you get in a moment right here where it's the toughest team is going to win and you lose with the more talented roster, that says something about your abilities as a coach. So I think Ryan Day lost the week.
I mean, Dan said it on the stream and tweeted it, but like Urban Meyer would have never let that happen today. And he's absolutely right.
I think that, I think there's a lot of coaches who wouldn't let that happen. I think, well, a lot of coaches is a stretch, but I think, these elite coaches, when they get there, and we assume guys like Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day are elite because they win 10, 11 every year, but they win 10 or 11 because they're playing from a loaded deck. Every time the hand's out, they're getting 5 aces.
Well, that was what was so weird about Ryan Day chirping Jim Harbaugh last year when he was like, oh, we're going to hang 100. And it's like, all right, man, like, what are you talking about? Like, do it first. So, I mean,
that's the thing, though. If you got the horses, you're going to talk about how fast they are, even if you're not the one that got the horses.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why Jim Harbaugh absolutely dunked on him tonight with that triple comment.
All right, shit list. I will allow Casey Smith to go first.
No, I don't want to go first. I've been going first every time.
Jack, go first.
I don't have a shit list. It was a great weekend.
I agree with that. Katie, go with the shit list.
UNC. I work my ass off to cover college football every single day, and I want something to go right, and it doesn't fucking do. And it's never just a blowout. There's always a slimmer of hope. And you start to believe, and when you believe, your dick kicked in, and I'm just tired of it.
My shit list is going to
I
be.
can go if you. I feel like you have a speech.
I don't have a speech.
You don't have a speech?
I don't have a speech.
Okay, then go ahead.
My shit list is the College Football Rules Committee. Whoever decided in the offseason that 7 and 6 and 5 overtime games were too good, too great, that we had to get rid of them. Whoever decided that an epic rivalry game would come down to who could execute a call from the 30-yard line. Whoever decided to change what was the best overtime in sports to fit some narrative or fit some agenda. I don't know why they did it. I know why they say they did it for player safety, but the 4 and 5 overtime game happened so rarely that it just didn't need fixing. I thought that game today, Alabama and Auburn, was a lot like the movie Tin Cup. The movie Tin Cup is one of the best sports movies ever until the last 20 minutes, and then it has the worst ending for any sports movie ever. I thought that game today it had a moment there from 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter till the end of the second overtime. That game was elite. And then it ended just like, oh, that's how we end this. That's my shit list.
I like that one. That one's good. You're gonna hate mine.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna say it.
All right.
Okay. My shit list is that I now believe in vibes.
Oh, boy. All
I
right.
do. And hear me out. The Virginia Tech game, I'm putting that in the rearview mirror. Brandon, I said it on the Egg Bowl stream. I'm going to say it again. We started talking about the Virginia Tech game, and right away, Mississippi State, 3 touchdown passes dropped, a missed field goal right away. And I said, I was like, what changed? That happened. Then I was able to put that aside. I listened to everything happened today. I was very happy I took Michigan money line, whatever. I know at the beginning of the podcast, I relegated my dad. I'm very excited my dad is in Manhattan. I cannot say this enough. When he said to me, when LSU was on their own 30 with a minute left, well, it's fine. They're on their own 30. I knew A&M was doomed. And now I am a true, I was already a true believer. Now I am a real true believer that my shit list is this Barstool mentality that I now believe in, which is that we can change the outcome of games.
We can't. All right. So Jack has left. He left the building.
I haven't even seen him go to the bathroom, and I'm right outside.
Yeah, he just left. So that is that, as they say. We will have the playoff. Oh, by the way, next week, we should just go ahead and decide this now. Next week is championship week, right?
Yes.
But the playoff ranking will be released the following day at, I believe, noon, maybe 1 o'clock, somewhere is the following day. So we probably won't do the podcast until after the playoff is out.
Yeah, no, it's usually right at noon because I think last year I was on the Pro Football Show when Notre Dame skipped A&M. So I think we did that last year too. That's crazy. December is this week. That's fucking crazy.
Yep. All right. That's Casey Smith. She thinks that's crazy.
You do too. It's December already?
Yeah, it's stupid. Well, tomorrow's the 28th. It's my little girl's birthday. So
Oh, happy birthday.
have a good day. Katie, for Jack, for Casey, that's unnecessary roughness.